Greetings. I'm here today to discuss with you the quality philosophies and principles of Deming, Juran, and Crosby. Deming believed that an item possesses quality if it helps someone and has a sustainable market, which is a pretty broad definition of quality. However, he did say that higher quality leads to increased productivity, lower costs, greater market share, and a greater competitive strength. He also believed that it was upper management's responsibility to set a vision for quality and to make sure that people carried through on it. Duran described quality as merely fitness for use, which is also fairly broad. He advocated that within a company, people speak different languages, such as the people lower down speak in terms of things because they're actually using things to get the job done, while the upper management speaks in terms of money because they need the money to supply the things, and middle management was necessary to speak both the languages of things and money so that they could interpret between the two uh, levels of the organization. Uh, he believed that there were three tenets: quality planning, quality control, and quality improvement. Crosby believed in conformance to requirements was quality. So you would set a bunch of requirements, and then as close as you could come to those requirements meant that you would have greater quality. He also believed that quality is free. For example, if these tacos showed up with lettuce or tomato, or this beer showed up warm, then I would have to send it back, and it would actually cost more money because they would have to redo it than whatever it would cost them just to make sure it just didn't have green stuff on it in the first place. Performance is actually the measurement of cost and quality according to Crosby, and the only standard is zero defects. Well, that sums it up. Thanks for listening. I'm glad you don't have to wear pants for this. Greetings. I'm here with you today to explain the logic and use of the product process matrix. The product process matrix is essentially a method so that you can look at the processes that your business has and the products that you're trying to create and choose which type of production process type would work best for your business. For example, let's say you were trying to produce beer in a delicious cheeseburger. What we would do is we would look on the matrix, which I will use fancy technology to bring up on your screen. And as you can see, you have a list on this side of all the different things that your process would include. So if you're going down the list, you would come down here and see that it's low or no setup time, highly similar products, dominant line flow, specialized skills, and then you'd be looking here at moderate, and you would be looking at a flow shop type. So if we look at the definition of a flow shop type, we would see that it's actually organized around a fixed sequence of activities, like an assembly line, and it has limited variation, which would very well describe a hamburger and a beer process. So the system works. Basically, you would want to keep most of your processes landing in the diagonal. Any processes that come out of this diagonal have to have a high profit margin in order to survive. Although this is changing recently with the prominence of big data and computers and other technological advances, you're able to actually run a profitable business without exactly following this. And that's everything I know about explain the logic and use of the product process matrix. If you have any questions, contact Ron any time of day. Greetings. I'm here today to explain to you important factors and decisions in locating facilities and discuss how supply chain performance can be evaluated. There are several decisions that you want to take into account when you decide where to place your locations. The location of your business or your supply chain or your value chain is critical. And you have to take into account both economic and non-economic factors. Economic factors would be things such as the facility cost, the operating costs, insurance, cost of labor. You would be looking at non-economic costs would include things such as the availability of labor. If you build your factory in the middle of the woods and you need 1,000 people to work there, it may be more difficult to do that than if you built the factory in the city. And other things you may have to consider are climate and legal and political concerns. Is your business legal in that area? How does the local populace believe your business affects the environment as well? Such as if you were an oil company right now, you would have to consider where you'd want to be with that. It makes all of the difference in considering that if you wanted to have a business that's, let's say, served somebody hamburgers and beer, that it would be a lot more effective if you place that closer to that person where they would want to get that hamburger and beer in a populated area. Once again, if you built that in the middle of the woods, it's very unlikely that somebody's going to go all the way into the middle of the woods to get that hamburger and beer when there's likely so many other places close by. And as well, if you were to deliver that, it would still take an hour and the burger would be cold and the beer would be warm. And that's not good for anybody. You would evaluate performance of your facilities based on several factors, such as delivery reliability. Is your delivery accurate and is it complete? Are all the items on there? Another one would be responsiveness. When you make that order, how long does it take for you to get it? You don't want to tell your customer that you're going to have their item in 3 weeks. Customer-related measures, such as, are you able to meet customer wants? Are your distributors and suppliers actually able to supply the products that your customers want and need? And another one would be supply chain efficiency. Is your supply chain able to keep a lower inventory so you can keep your cash flow maintained? Another one would be sustainability measures. Are you able, if you're building something out of wood, is there enough wood in the area to actually keep your business sustained? And another one would be the financial measures. How do your facilities and supply chain and value chain actually boil down to the bottom line of, are you making money? Can you make more money with a different supplier? Hopefully that explained everything you need to know. Have a good evening.
Greetings and happy Halloween. I'm here today to explain the theory and logic of the theory of constraints and to give examples. So basically, in business, you want to maximize your throughput, which would be that you want to make sure that you can meet your maximum capacity and increase the maximum capacity by making sure there are no constraints, which would also be referred to as bottlenecks. What this would be is anything that prevents the most amount of items being processed where the input is greater than the capacity. So what you would be looking at would be as if you were in a restaurant and you were doing hamburgers and steins, and you could only make a hamburger one every 10 minutes or pour one beer every 2 minutes. Then if you had a greater demand for that than you could provide, that would be a bottleneck. And in order to increase your throughput and therefore your cash flows, you would need to look at getting additional devices to pour beer or additional devices or staff to make hamburgers. That's all I know.
Greetings and welcome to the last presenter's podium of my lifetime. So you may get a little weepy-eyed by the end of it, so if you want to get up and get some tissues now, I'll wait. Okay, now that we have the wusses out of the room, let's talk business. I'm here to explain how the fixed period and single period inventory systems operate and how they differ. And then if I have some time left over, I'll answer some of the questions from the thought-provoking sections. So anyway, here we go. The fixed period inventory system has inventory being done on a regular interval based on time. So if you were, say, at a bar and you had beer or you had suicide wings, you may want to do the inventory at the end of every night. So you know if you have to get more beer for the next day or if you're out of anything so that you can tell the customers that you no longer have it. A single period inventory system is when you're about to run out of something or you're going to have just one chance to sell this thing, such as if you're making Sausage Fest t-shirts and you were only going to be able to sell them that, and when Sausage Fest 2014 was over, you were no longer going to be able to sell those t-shirts. So you would want to take into account how much inventory you can get and take into factor that if you get too many shirts, then you're going to be left over with shirts you'll never be able to sell. And are you going to make more money that way than not running out of shirts if you don't make enough for the event? So anyway, that covers it. And it appears we've got a couple seconds left over. So let's go to the mailbag. What bar are you always drinking in? Okay, that's a trick question. I'm not always drinking in a bar. Sometimes I drink at home or on a park bench. So that covers it up, and I just want to say congratulations on being done, and the best of luck to you in all your managerial careers. And if you need somebody to wear a suit and say things like altering traditional paradigms and embracing vertical integration can significantly increase downstream product processes and increase customer engagement, then you may want to hire me. Anyway, have a good day, and that's everything I know.